Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Metamorphosis, a Korean horror film from 2019. After failing to exorcise a possessed girl, Joong-su attempts to leave the church for a much quieter life. Unfortunately for him, the same demon has now targeted his brother's family, which consists of a husband, wife, and 3 children. Now this particular entity has the ability to jump from person to person at will, and uses this ability to create distrust and conflict between the family members. Now this film begins with a pretty typical Catholic-style exorcism of a girl, on her bed of course, but it's more bloody and grisly than you might expect. It's actually a pretty good way to start the film, because it shows us that although Metamorphosis has a very cliche concept, it also has enough bite to compensate. Now this film's conventionality is by far its biggest weakness. I mean, we've seen this concept done a million times before. But sometimes the execution can make up for some of that, and I think it does here. Now that's not to say that the plot is completely predictable. Sure, like the setup and the ultimate resolution are rather basic in this film, but there are a few truly surprising moments to enjoy, and I did appreciate that. There are some good actors in this film. The lead is Bae Sung-woo, who has had some supporting roles in films like Bedeviled, Inside Men, The Royal Tailor, Office, etc. I've always liked this guy, and it's nice to see him get more exposure in recent years with stuff like Metamorphosis and Beasts Clawing at Straws. He had a pretty big role in that film. There are some other veteran actors who were cast in this film in supporting roles, and you will recognize them because some of the actors in this film are veterans who have been in tons of movies and K-dramas over the years. So fans of Korean cinema will see some recognizable faces here. Now in terms of horror, there is some creepy imagery, like a bizarre rock formation in the neighborhood, as well as some upside-down crosses, which I always find kind of unnerving, if done well. And there's also an occultish display of dead animals that are presented in like a ritualistic fashion. I really like some of that stuff. The imagery in this film is pretty bloody and intense at times. It's visually arresting and even a little bit violent. There are a few scenes with copious amounts of blood, which is always welcome. And there is also some psychological terror in this film and some suspense. The entity, like I said, kind of shifts between characters, meaning that any character can act strangely for no apparent reason. So someone will be normal one minute, and then the demon will possess them, and they start acting kind of creepy and even dangerous the next minute. And then later on, they go back to acting normal again with no recollection of their weird behavior before. So this does result in some intense and uncomfortable moments between the family members. This is especially true near like the beginning and middle of the film when they have no idea what's going on. Like they're not even aware that this demon exists. So people are just acting crazy. So it's done pretty well. Production values are nice. That includes the lighting. We get multiple vibrant colors in the same shots. Kind of like, a lot of times in films they'll do the contrast. You get a mix of warm and cool colors like orange and then blue being contrasted, which is nice. I like my colorful horror films, and this film has some color to it. One other thing I noticed is that there's one shot that's not used that often in films, at least ones that I've seen, but it's an abrupt night-to-day shot using the same shot. So you'll see the outside of a house at night, and the camera will just stay there, and all of a sudden, boom, it's like daytime, and you're in the same exact shot, which I kind of like that shot. It should be used more often. It's kind of unnerving and weird, kind of disorienting. So I think, there's a lot of positives to this film. The biggest negative is its conventionality. It's got cliches in it, and that's probably the main stumbling block for most people going into this. But I think it's a good quality horror film overall in terms of its execution. If you can handle the cliche elements, you might enjoy this. So, there you go. It's currently available on Shudder and also on physical media. There's a Blu-ray release. So, if you think you might be interested in it, have a go. And as always, I will see you next time.